understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
What do you desire that you can't have?
When I eat a brain, I get visions.
Don't ever come back to Gotham.
You have failed this city.
Jesus, what kind of a preacher are you?
There's about a dozen ways that I could stop you right now. But I don't think I have to.
Because where I'm from, your grandson becomes the greatest hero in the universe.
Now you should at least give a brother a moment to say something heroically clever.
In the future, my friends may not be heroes, but if we succeed, they will be remembered as legends.
Welcome to the DC TV report for the week ending Saturday, August 18th, 2018. I'm Edward O'Hare, nickname to be determined.
And I'm Sara, academic by day, freelance writer by night.
We're here to bring you recaps, news, and commentary for all live-action television shows based on DC Comics.
And we have one new episode, one retro pick. I feel like we could just record me saying that and drop it in week after week this summer, because that is what we have for you in the year of our Lord 2018 summertime.
Well, I mean, after this week, we've only got 2 more weeks for that happens, and then we have like a whole month of nothing. So
we can fill up that. I have faith in us. Listeners, what you missed off camera here as we were getting ready to go was a scintillating conversation about pivot tables in Excel. Let me tell you.
Yes.
It was great. And we weren't recording, and I am sorry for you. Like, you missed out on some quality pivot table conversations.
Well, I will tell you, our buddy Uncle Jay from the Wicked Theory podcast is so thankful that we didn't record that.
I was just excited to find somebody who uses them in real life. That's all.
Yeah. It's part of my job, which I don't ever talk about anywhere. But the only hint I'll give you is it involves pivot tables from time to time.
I was excited. I was literally excited to meet somebody who use pivot tables. That's so cool. Tell me more. So that's who you're dealing with here. You all need to know the kind of hosts that you have. Hosts who are super attuned to Excel.
Yeah. Well, time to get down to business. We did have a busy episode this week, and we have a retro pick, and there's a lot of news that's coming down. Some exciting news to talk about. You ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
All right. So first up. Why do I always say first up? It's not first up. It's the only one we have. But anyway, Preacher, Season 3, Episode 8, The Tom Brady. The Allfather had Hair Star strap Jesse into a contraption that was built to transfer Genesis out of Jesse and into Humperdoo. Cassidy and Icarius captured Hoover and contemplated what to do with their new hostage. Tulip, Featherstone, and Jody posed as sensitivity trainers to infiltrate Soul's Happy Go-Go and steal souls for Grandma. Grandma made a phone call to Satan to negotiate a new deal with him. Last-minute reveal, at a bus stop, Hitler borrowed Featherstone's phone and texted Rick from Circuit Works for help.
Listen, if you're in a jam, Rick from Circuit Works, he's your guy. He's always your guy.
Yep. I'm glad we clarified it's Circuit Works, not Circuit City.
Well, I knew it wasn't Circuit City, but I mean, it clearly is a Circuit City stand-in, if you will.
Yeah.
So you said this was a busy episode. I agree. A lot of stuff happened, yet it was the little details that I enjoyed the most, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
The Genesis Humperdoo explosion room that had the windshield wiper installed on it. When Hoover's held captive and texting with Star back and forth, and the typos and deleting the typos, just little things. I so enjoyed the tiny little funny details that this show takes the time to get right or to make weird.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, that's Preacher to me, is the weird details.
Yeah, well, it's the kind of thing where like Grail doesn't screw around, and I'm sure Professor Slotnick had an inkling that something like that might happen. So you might as well be prepared. German efficiency. What did you think of Dr. Slotnick?
She is very much in keeping with the show. That's exactly who you would expect, right?
Yeah. I thought it was a fun, interesting character. The way they explained the episode title, they figured out the perfect way to extract Genesis was a DNA splice between Thomas Jefferson and Wayne Brady.
And I super love that it leaves everybody to contemplate who's the evil. Should I guess I do not appreciate them getting sports in any of my comic book shows, though. Just no. Brush it away.
I could do a long treatise on this. I'm sure our friend Dom Tori might enjoy it, but I'm not going to for your sake. And I'm sure
you need to say something about inflating. Do you just need to yell about inflating things?
Yeah. Well, I could explain how, being a New York fan, explaining how Tom Brady, the Patriots are the axis of evil in the NFL. I always believe that there are good guys and there are bad guys in football, and Bill Belichick, his coach, is Darth Vader.
I worked with a guy who named his dog Bill Belichick. So you would not be friends with him?
I mean, I wouldn't say outright no, but it's not a good start.
It's all signs point to nah.
I look forward to your letters.
Please do not loop me in on this. I so don't care. Named his dog Bill Belichick and then looked at me like, Bill Belichick, and I just I don't know what I don't understand the words that you're. I don't know what that means. Is that a musician? Is that I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So. Now, okay, so what this episode also had, another clever fight scene. I love the clever fight scenes. You've got the elevator, you've got the noise off camera, yet another way for them to express violence without going to the time, money, and expense of actually, showing us it in a way that I very much enjoyed. It's no Captain America Civil War elevator scene, but what on this earth is?
Yeah.
Answer, nothing.
No. Now, the All-Father's plan, we've got to get Genesis out of Custer and put it into Humperdoo. How surprised were you when that second Humperdoo walked into the room?
Oh, super surprised, because I've read the comics, and that don't happen.
Yeah.
Sorry for the grammar. I actually didn't love that. To me, that it taints the purity of the ridiculousness of Humperdoo. If it's just the one that they have and that's the best they can do and that's who they've got, it's funny. But if you've got a whole room full of Humperdoos, to me, there's diminishing returns the more Humperdoos that you have. That's not something I ever expected to say, but
here's the argument I'll make, because at the end of the episode, when it finally works, Slotnick shoots him in the head, and then Allfather says, okay, now get the real one, which means that they never intended for any of these to be real. This was just an army of clones that they have on hand in case they need to test something, and they don't want to expose the real one to it just yet. So
I just feel like it cheapens the joke if you've got a whole room full of them, unless the real Humperdoo is super, super different, which obviously, I assume we've been seeing the real one other than this. I don't know. I didn't love that little twist, and I don't want to criticize the show. I'm so enjoying it this season, so I hate to even be negative at all. But to me, it just took away from my enjoyment of, man, good old Humperdoo. But I appreciated the bizarreness of the contraption that they hooked up. I appreciated Star being impotent to help Jesse. It's rare to see Star that under somebody's thumb, so that was kind of cool, dynamic wise.
Yeah. Now let's quickly move on to let's go to Icarius and Cassidy.
Yes. Were you yelling at the screen, "Get there faster" to Cassidy? Figure it out.
Yeah. Come on, man.
You've been alive long enough. You should be able to figure out connect the dots.
I'll be honest, when he opened that trash can lid, for a minute, I thought like he was going to find the umbrella that he gave Hoover and that he would already be too late. And then when he sees the neck pillow, I was almost like, oh, thank God.
Oh, God. I tell you,
because also
the big surprise for me was that they actually turned Hoover. That I wasn't expecting that at all.
No, and I'm interested to see what that does for his work situation at Grail. If they're gonna even let him back in, if he's an undead.
I assume they're pretty uptight there about their human credentials, and that's a no-fly zone. But I also could see somebody like Herr Starr, who's so morally ambiguous, making the argument that this actually makes this idiot useful to me now. So that could be kind of interesting. I will say, over on our sister show, Preacher versus Preacher, where they compare it to the book, they were asking, is there some way that you can undo turning somebody into a vampire? You know, is there a reset button or something if you wanted to unvampire Hoover? And they were kind of asking, like, can that happen? And I wanted to answer them on another show because that's obviously how podcasting works. I feel like in some scenarios, if you kill the sire, that'll take away the curse. I don't think that's a we haven't ever seen that. I don't think that's that kind of show. But I mean, I also had that thought of, can they, if he doesn't bite anybody and the sun sets on his third night, like, could that maybe do I don't know. I'll be curious if they find some way to walk that back.
Yeah. Well, I remember in Angel, there was a whole thing, like, if he fulfills a certain prophecy, he'll be rewarded with life. But I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be like a specific
thing.
There
definitely is a procedure on Supernatural because Sam becomes a vampire. And I feel like Dean does too. I feel like they all do at some point because it's been on for 80 seasons. And there's a way, I think it involves dead man's blood or something. Yeah. There's ways out there in other lore, but I'm guessing we've got Vampfer. Who vamp? And I'm glad he got away.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, I like the idea that he actually goes out, moves to one of these random cities, and starts one of those sanctuaries that Icarius keeps telling people
really good at
he's setting up to do.
He'd be a great ambassador.
Yeah, because he's a guy who just needs purpose, you know. Also, like, because that actor's also in Timeless, I don't like the idea of him like losing out on 2 different shows in the same TV season.
Yeah, that would be hard.
So like. I'm really rooting for Hoover to pull through.
I will say this subplot also gave me my favorite part of the episode, which is, or we could get the bees, like in Wicker Man, the bees, and Cass being so disgusted. Where are you going to get bees? I'm a beekeeper. Oh, well, let's do the bees then. So good.
Yeah, that is great humor when an absurd premise immediately becomes plausible and in a flat second.
Well, and Cass was so reasonable about it. He was just like, nah, that's stupid. Oh, wait, you have bees? Well, all right then. Bees.
Yeah. That's what great genre fiction is. It's always just it's finding a way we can accept the premise. Once you accept the premise, anything's possible.
And as long as you stay consistent, follow your internal rules, follow your world building, and nobody's going to send you angry letters. They're still going to send you angry letters, but you'll know in your heart you did it right.
And okay, let's move on to Tulip and Featherstone and Jody and the greatest workplace sensitivity training seminar I've ever seen.
I'd sign up for that series of videos. Like, I would subscribe to that YouTube channel just to watch Tulip angrily be harassed and do the harassing.
I will say, for a good actor, I feel like there's nothing harder to do than bad acting.
Yes.
And that scene she has with Jody at the beginning, that like really flat dialogue and everything. Oh,
not for nothing, but did you watch Barry on HBO when it aired?
Oh yes, I just finished.
That's a masterclass in good actors doing really bad, but close to good, but bad acting. If that makes sense.
Hey, Barry's a good actor. All right.
That was so real, man. What is that from?
No. Yeah. No. Side note. The whole thing where Henry Winkler's character makes him memorize the Alec Baldwin monologue from Glengarry Glen Ross, and he actually makes that character like really sympathetic and like trying to help these guys out instead of like chewing them out, I thought was brilliant. I wish I could have seen the whole thing. Like
if they want to put those outtakes on the season 1 DVD of just the whole production.
Please. Now, second prize, set of steak knives. Third prize is you're fired. But we could start working on that right now with tonight's set. But so anyway, I think Featherstone really shined in this episode. I really liked how she was digging into Tulip, and I thought right up until the moment where everything completely goes sour for her, she was really on fire.
She's speaking Japanese. She's running the seminar. It felt like it was a useful set. It sounds like it's something that they actually needed at that location. So I think maybe she actually did some good to the employees there.
Oh, yeah.
I do think needling your partner in a rather high stakes heist is dumb. Like, if it were me, I'd save the shitty little comments until we were free and clear. But I get it. There's a lot of bad blood there. And that was a lot of fun to watch. So.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the whole reason they did this whole scenario was to get those two women on an airplane to be short-haired brunettes on a plane, right? That's why that happened.
Yeah. Of course. And Grandma and Satan. Satan in the flesh, out of hell, in the wide open. I thought that bodysuit, that makeup really holds up. I was very pleased with that.
What a bizarre juxtaposition of that character and the Angelville surroundings. There is not a bigger disconnect in my mind than Satan in Angelville.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool to have some clarification about Grandma's powers. That was the right time to reveal that. It's pretty clear that she's up to no good, but it's nice to make it explicit. Oh yeah, no, she's up to no good.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. And even Satan is creeped out by TC.
What a great character this season. Oh man. TC.
So yeah, I think is there anything else you want to say about the episode?
Well, I think, don't you need to say things about Hitler and Eugene and the Saint of Killers?
Oh yeah, that's right. They did show up somewhere. Where was it? Oh, that's right. The 3 seconds at the end.
I was glad to see the bus stop again. I really super love the Hell bus stop, so good to see that. I think that bus ride looks like it's shaping up to be a lot of fun next week. Maybe we'll get, what do you think, 10 seconds? 15 seconds? Will we just get a shot of them all riding in silence and that'll be it for the week?
Well, like next week, no, but like we have 2 episodes left, and I can't think that we've got to have one where it's just those 3 guys. I feel like we've got to have at least one episode that's centered on them, and it would be really weird to make that episode the finale.
I don't think you can afford the real estate for a whole episode of just them, because you've got enough moving pieces in Angelville: Jesse, Tulip, Jody, TC, Grandma, Satan.
Or just at least one where they're half the story, where we see them in more than one act, where they make it to the 3rd commercial break.
Yeah, I agree. I think this coming episode has to be the Hitler episode, doesn't it? Not the episode called Hilter, but.
Yeah, well, it's also because I feel like, especially with a serialized show like this, you need to connect your plot lines at some point. There has to be some point where these 2 things are going to converge, and I have no idea how that's going to happen. It may just be something in the very ends where finally we settle what's going on at Angelville, and then Saint of Killers shows up, and we're like, oh my god, what now?
Well, it seems to me if Satan is sending his Angel of Death after Tulip is enmeshed in Angelville, Satan is bringing Eugene, Hitler, the Saint back down to hell. That's, I think surely somebody's going to show up at Angelville with Tulip or for Tulip or something like that.
Mm.
I can see the blueprint somehow, and I cannot wait to see how they pull it off.
Yeah. All right.
So 2 episodes. All right.
2 episodes.
Do you want to dive into news?
Yeah, let's do some news.
All right. So let's start with the CW Arrowverse overall.
Okay.
With a little bit of crossover news. Unlike the last couple of crossovers, this year is going to be smaller, a little more intimate, a little more character driven. You can't save the universe every time. So it'll give the characters a little bit more time to interact, and it'll be a little bit less the fate of our planet is at stake. Which, if you listen to all the interviews that the actors did at Comic-Con, makes sense, because apparently that crossover damn near killed all of them from exhaustion and complications.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I think that also, is probably a good reason why Legends isn't going to be involved in this. And yeah, I think that, as incredible as Crisis on Earth X was, it's best not to try to top that. It's best to go in a different direction.
How do you top that? I mean, the stakes were so massive, that would be tough, and I completely get it. I am grateful, though. Crisis on that was the crossover was amazing. So I'm so glad that they gave us what they gave us, but they've earned a smaller crossover this year. Let's see, moving on to Arrow. Apparently, one of the grittier scenes early on in season 7 is so questionable in its content that the showrunners had to actually call the censors to clarify what boundaries they could push. And they know that they're not Netflix, they're not streaming, they're not HBO, but they do want to kind of test their limits of what they can show a little bit. So they had to get the censors to weigh in, which is interesting.
Yeah, well, I know Stephen Amell's been feeling the pressure, because if you've seen his tweets the last couple of days, I mean, the first 4 episodes seem really intense, and someone needs to get that guy a towel and a bucket of water. Not a bottle, a bucket. And that man.
Do you want him to dunk his head in it, or do you want to like dump it over his head, or what would you do with the bucket?
Just swallow all of it, because he looks dehydrated and he needs to sleep. He needs like a good 10 hours. He looks exhausted. He literally just stares into the camera with his shaved head and the grown out beard, saying this is starting to get untenable, or there's something to that effect.
Yeah, he has said that just 4 days of filming this season has been more physically rigorous than entire seasons in the past. So I think they're really putting him through the ringer there.
Yeah, and it's gonna be
doing
so
it
good.
For us. It's gonna be great. And the goatee, Ed. What about the goatee?
Oh my God! I mean, he's in prison, so you can't expect him to pull out the product and make it like the pointy Van Dyke. But like just the fact that he's got that much growth there, I'm so excited.
So yeah, this season is looking interesting. I will say the 4th episode script has been released on social media, pictures of it, but the title has been blacked out, as if the title itself would be a spoiler of some kind. So ladies and gentlemen, start your speculation engines.
All right.
Moving on to The Flash. Speaking of episode titles, we had already told you that the premiere is going to be Nora, and then the next episode is going to be blocked. We have a couple more. Episode 3 will be called The Death of Vibe, which sounds real bad for Cisco.
Yeah.
Episode 4 will be News Flash, which sounds real bad for me personally, because I think that means Iris is going to try to be a journalist. Then we have All Dolled Up. Put a pin in that. I'll come right back to that. And then finally, The Icicle Cometh. And so Icicle Cometh, that could be a Caitlin thing, perhaps. But All Dolled Up, episode 5, probably goes along with the news that they are casting Peter Merkel / Ragdoll, an emotional, damaged criminal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I am most interested in the information that they're looking to cast a contortionist or a dancer who can bend his body in, quote, disturbing ways. Ed, I don't like the sound of this. This sounds creepy.
Well, Ragdoll is a supervillain. He's a member of a villain team called the Secret Six. There've been a couple different versions of them over the years in the comics. Ragdoll. Ow. If you just Google some of the stuff on that character online, just see some of those images, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty. And if they're gonna have a real person try to do some of that stuff, ooh, all right.
This feels like, I feel like Gotham is the one that does the really upsetting villains, and Flash a little bit less so. So when I was reading this, I was like, oh yeah, Gotham. Oh no, wait, this is Flash. Oh,
Yeah.
good Lord. So
well, I mean, this is what happens when you get this far in and you need new characters, but you still want to keep them, from the canon. You start getting deep into that barrel, and you're gonna find out all of the characters that were created when the writers were short on bills and really frustrated and angry, and just needed to like show something to explain the kind of pain they felt they were going through in their head. And yeah, you end up with characters like Ragdoll.
it's not just drugs. I always honestly just assumed it was
No.
hallucinogens.
Well, I guess it depends on what era. Sarah? Okay. Sarah, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I lost you. I said hallucinogens and you were gone.
Okay. You started cutting out after you said drugs. So
do you want me to just pick it up? Oh, I always kind of assumed it was drugs.
yeah, well, that's part of it. Depending on what
hallucinogens.
era. Yeah.
I mean, look at that Steve Ditko stuff. Come on.
Yeah, you read anything by Grant Morrison, sure, but
Anyway, so
Yeah.
there are certain pieces of casting that I'm more interested in than others for these shows that we talk about, and that's one that I will be keeping my eye on because contortionists, submit your resumes, apparently. Last thing on The Flash, Hartley Sawyer, who plays Ralph, gave an interview, I believe it was Comic-Con, talking about how Ralph is returning to the team a changed man after he was killed and absorbed by the Thinker, and that changes a fella. So he'll be a little bit different, which is maybe good news. I know some fans kind of chafed at his character being a little misogynist, uncouth, hard to deal with. I liked the friction he brought to the team, but I am curious to see what changes they might have worked on him. Also, his detective skills in the comics are said to rival Batman's, and apparently they'll be exploring that a little bit this season as well. Is that fair? Do you think he's a Batman level detective?
Well, he was the backup in Detective Comics for a while, I think in the 70s and 80s. But yeah, he is known more in the comics as a master detective. And that and they kind of alluded to that in his PI work, that he was kind of slumming it.
Well, I thought honestly some of his best scenes last season were when he was trying to talk somebody out of breaking in to the Thinker's house. Was it Joe? Was it Barry? I don't know. I thought he did some of his best work there when he was saying, oh yeah, go right ahead and do it, but you know what's going to happen. And that to me showed kind of that logic and that just a little bit more thoughtfulness than Ralph showed in other scenes. So I'm very excited by this. I like that actor, and I'm curious where the character is going to go.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to quit the sauce. He's going to clean himself up. And
I know what you're going to say.
And
who's he going to meet, Ed?
Yeah. He's gonna meet Sue.
Do you think this coming season is the season he meets Sue, or does he need another season to marinate and bake first?
I don't think I could handle it if he goes another full season without meeting Sue. Like if he does like January, February, around there, if he could like run into her then,
sweeps.
That would be.
We're just asking for it in sweeps. By the way, you mentioned Angel. That was a Buffy thing I just dropped. Buffy's like cookie dough. She still has to bake. I didn't mean bake because we also talked about drugs. All right, moving forward. To Legends of Tomorrow. Okay. So another episode title announcement. Episode 4 is going to be called Wet Hot American Bummer. But more intriguingly, the show is looking to add a new character, a wolf creature. The wolf creature can be played by a male or a female. They're looking for somebody between 20 and 40. It sounds like it'll be a recurring role, but if the show is picked up for season 5, that character would become a regular, could become a regular, which I think is kind of interesting. Apparently the wolf creature will be scary, but will form an alliance with the Legends. That sounds so insane. I cannot wait to see how it plays out.
Well, I will say, now this is no guarantee. We don't know the name of this character. But since we're going into more supernatural elements with Constantine, if it could be a character like Wolfpack, I'd be interested to see if this is a way we get introduced to the Creature Commandos, or Frankenstein and the Agents of Shade.
Oh, you're just making things up now.
No, I swear to God.
These are not words I've ever heard put together. So,
No.
First of all, let's circle back. Wolfpack, is that a person?
That's a person. Yes.
That's confusing.
It's a werewolf named Wolfpack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he a wolf pack of one?
Yes. Yeah. It was the 80s.
Is this like how on the X-Files the lone gunmen were gunmen plural, but they were the lone gunmen? So
yeah. Yes.
It just doesn't work. Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah. And he's a member of a team of heroes led by Frankenstein's monster.
Thank you for not making me pedantically correct you, Frankenstein or Frankenstein's monster.
Yes. Led by Frankenstein's monster, who calls himself Frankie. Because
of course he does.
I don't know if it's Frankie. It might just be Frankenstein or Frank. I think people call him Frank. Maybe that's it. It's been a while. I haven't really read much of the 80s stuff. There was a new 52 title called Frankenstein, Agent of Shade.
Does Shade stand for something? Does it stand for Please Don't Call Us S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Superhuman Advanced Defense Executive, something like that. Something of that nature. But they handle supernatural stuff. Yeah. They so they handle supernatural monsters and that kind of thing. And they're federal agents. They do their own thing.
That does sound likely, given what we know about the season, that you'd meet a government agency designed to monitor and control that. So
yeah,
cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, wolf creature. I just think it's cool that they're looking for man, woman between 20 and 40. That just means that they have a lot of leeway there, which I don't know. We'll see who they come up with.
Yeah. Sometimes it's interesting where it's like, let's find the right actor and then build the character off of that person. I think that's an interesting take to do sometimes in television and film.
I agree. Okay, last CW Arrowverse show, and not a show necessarily, but Batwoman.
Batwoman music.
We announced last week Ruby Rose has been cast as Batwoman for the crossover and presumably the TV show that will follow. Since then, she has quit Twitter and turned her Instagram comments off because we can't have nice things. And the internet is garbage, and she was bullied for a variety of reasons. So, be better, internet. Be better.
Yeah, I wish I wasn't surprised.
I know. I wish that I didn't read that with just dull resignation. Yep, that sounds right. I will say something a little bit more positive. Stephen Amell tweeted, "Watching someone try on a superhero suit for the first time never gets old." He didn't include names or pictures. There's no real context beyond that, but I would think he's talking about Ruby Rose suiting up as Batwoman for the first time, and that made me just happy. I mean, imagine getting to try on the super suit made just for you. That's so cool.
I mean, I've only imagined that every morning of my life when I woke up and there wasn't a superhero suit waiting for me to try on.
I've always I'm pretending right now that I'm wearing a cape, to be honest. So
yeah. I mean, that's the baller thing, you know.
Now, I will say, I was listening to the Wicked Theory podcast, our other sister show that you put out this week. And Uncle Jay was talking about seeing the Meg and seeing Ruby Rose in the Meg and how much he enjoyed her character. And it made me think maybe, because I've only ever seen her as kind of a villain antagonist, maybe I need to see the Meg just for Ruby Rose. And the Big Show, obviously.
Yeah. I've been thinking that too.
I mean, is it going to be DC TV Report goes to the movies next week?
I mean, we could talk about it. We don't need to make a formal thing about it. But
I want to formalize our agreement to see the Meg. I want a contract. I want handshakes.
I can't guarantee because I got a lot of stuff going on tomorrow. I gotta go to a cousin's kid's birthday party, and I gotta get fitted for a suit. So I don't know if I'll have time tomorrow. And then I was hoping Sunday to watch Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome for a series of articles I've been writing. You can read the first one on wickedtheory.com. I've been decided to go deep diving on some franchises. I've started with Mad Max. So there's extra plug.
Can vouch. It's delightful.
You want to check those out. Oh, thank you. I just finished writing my Road Warrior article, and that's I feel like when this project starts because I want to see the evolution of a franchise, and the first article is just me okay, this is why Mad Max is awesome, and I feel like the next article I get to explain kind of how they built things out, and you could see how Mad Max was just kind of saying see how crazy we are. Imagine if you gave us money.
I feel like a lot of good film franchises start that way.
Yeah.
Isn't that basically Sam Raimi's career?
Well, yeah.
Imagine if I had money.
Well, I feel like that's kind of different. Sam Raimi and Robert Rodriguez, which is interesting because the second films in both of their series are pretty much
are basically the first film with
they're just remakes of the first film. But yeah, so that's interesting.
Did you know that the third Evil Dead movie was originally called Medieval Dead?
I can believe that. I did not know that.
Isn't that so much better than Army of Darkness? Medieval Dead. Evil Dead 2, Medieval Dead. It's so perfect. Sorry, this is our goal to have a shorter podcast this week is not going well.
Well, actually, we're done with. No, there's still news. Damn it! All right.
All right, we'll move on.
All right, marching on.
Gotham. We have more episode titles for Gotham. Episode 5, Pena Dura. Episode 6, The Air is Getting Slippery. Episode 7, TBD. I assume that's not actually the episode title, and that just means they don't know yet, but I don't know. Maybe it's TBD. And then episode 8, are you ready for this, Edward?
Yes.
I am Bane. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I can't do a Bane voice. I apologize to everybody for even trying to do that.
I am Bane.
I'm so sorry. Thank you.
You're gonna cover your mouth as you do it. Oh.
I did. I covered my... It was sad. I'm alone in my room. I covered my mouth, and it still sounded like...
I don't know if the mic is picking this up, because it sounds muffled from here. But,
I am Tom Hardy. I am legally obligated to cover my beautiful, beautiful face and everything that I do, including, inexplicably, Dunkirk.
And I'm going to use an incredibly weird voice just as a test to see if they'll actually let me get away with it.
And they will.
So yeah, we're gonna meet Bane's dad, right?
Yes. So we have a casting notice for Eduardo Durance. 30, 40-something guy, a fit warrior, a soldier who is intolerant of betrayal, and I have it on good authority, mostly you, that is Bane's papa?
Yeah, that's what I think the article said. His real name is Edmund Durance. So, yeah, Eduardo wouldn't be, also, I think he's from Bolivia. He's from somewhere in South America. So, yeah, this is cool. This is exciting.
Yeah, and which would indicate then that, of course, Bane is younger. So that opens up some interesting possibilities for how a younger Bane would interact with Bruce.
Yeah, definitely.
That's where they decide to go.
Mm-hmm.
They're also casting Teresa Walker to be a recurring character. She is committed to her mission and her family, which tells us literally nothing. I think, unless somebody knows of somebody who fits that. Okay. Moving on to Titans.
Titans music. Okay.
We have a little more casting news. Elliot Knight, lately seen in Life Sentence on the CW by nobody, has been cast as Dawn Hall, a name that will be familiar to Titans readers because that is the original Dove.
Yes. Hank Hall's brother Don. Should I throw out the spoiler from 1985?
I mean, you already spoiled me, so you might as well. So my comment to Ed, as we were discussing this off air, was Elliot Knight is so young So he can't have, he's too young to have retired from superheroing. So is it a flashback or is it what's going on? And then Ed told me something upsetting,
which is that the original Dove, Don Hall, died tragically during Crisis on Infinite Earths. And when they rebooted, Dawn was introduced, as Hank's girlfriend when they rebooted the series a few years later.
So you're talking DAWN Dawn versus
Yes.
DON Dawn. Okay.
Yeah.
I have an off-topic question. How many people in comic books die non-heroically? Has anybody ever done a study of how many people die stupidly?
Well, does it count if they fell from grace and turned into a villain? Because that's happened once or twice. But even then, they've redeemed themselves.
That's following a calling. It might be a twisted calling, but
I'd have to look at the raw data and maybe even run a pivot table.
Pivot table.
But
I look forward to seeing those results.
All right.
Moving on to Pennyworth.
Pennyworth music. Hey, the show.
So yeah, Pennyworth. Apparently, it's scheduled to start shooting in London on November 21st. That is the start date that has been provided, and it's going to film for 7 months. Which, and I did the math on this for you. You shoot November to Christmas, presumably, because as I had to remind myself, they don't need to take time off for Thanksgiving because they're in London. We're upstart American Yankee, whatever. And then that would bring them back in the new year, film through June. So fall of 19 premiere, mid to late summer 19.
I think it could be summer, depending on how much lag time they need between production and editing. But
it's only 10 episodes, I think. So I don't know if that makes a difference in prep time, but yeah, an actual date for Pennyworth is really exciting. So get epics queued up now.
I can't believe that this is still a thing.
What is? Epics?
That Pennyworth, it's actually happening.
Oh yeah, well, especially it came out of nowhere. The full season, we're getting 10 episodes. It's a whole season. We're gonna do it. We're gonna put it on this channel. It's gonna happen. Really? Did who allowed that to go forward?
Hello, everybody.
We're back. You didn't know we were gone, did you?
Yeah. So the reason this episode is getting released a little late is because in the middle of talking about Pennyworth, the program that we used to record this, the website conked out. So it's a couple days later.
And not gonna lie, we had some moments of real concern that everything we'd done leading up to that was just gone into the ether.
Mm-hmm. But thankfully it wasn't. I've been able to recover everything, and I threw it in Audacity, and I saw waveforms, and I listened to it, and everything sounded good. So yeah. Everything's good. So we were in the middle of talking about Pennyworth and how surprised we were that that's actually, a thing.
I have two thoughts. Either our surprise was so overwhelming that it broke the website, or the website thought we were talking about Pennywise and was like, nope, shut it down. No, not here, friends. Not here.
So yeah, they're filming in London in November. And yeah, this is actually gonna happen. Wow. Sometimes Warner Brothers with their licensing, the way they just throw stuff out. You want to make a show? Yeah, here you go.
Well, and sometimes you want to use that character? Sure, fine. Wait, nope, JK, not anymore. They tend to pull characters back. I'm looking at you, Deathstroke. So, it's I kind of expected we get a quiet announcement saying, actually JK, LOL, never mind. But it's really doing it. I wonder if it's because the Gotham showrunner, Heller, is behind it, and so he's got a track record. I'm not sure what that track record is exactly, but, he had some kind of established cred. He's in the Batman universe already. I don't know. Casting. I've looked forward to seeing the casting, and I think I've said this before, but set in the 60s, swing in London, the visuals I'm really looking forward to. I hope it's they best not go the gloomy bat route the way so many entertainments do when they tackle this world.
Yeah, let's make this feel like a vintage James Bond movie. Like,
I was going Austin Powers, but yeah, same. I want that vibe. I want that world. Okay, obviously not the Austin Powers vibe, but just the pops of color and yeah. So that's the difference between me and Ed. He references James Bond. I reference Austin Powers. That really breaks down how we operate, I think. Anyway, Pennyworth, yay.
All right. What's up next?
Okay, we have some casting news for Stargirl.
Stargirl music. Okay.
So some casting details have leaked. They're looking for an actress who's 18 plus to play a 15-year-old. They're looking for an actress of any ethnicity. They'd like her to be intelligent, compassionate, athletic, kind, thoughtful. Basically, any attribute you'd want in a person is what they're looking for, I think, in Stargirl, which, given the backstory, Ed, that you've explained to me, just makes me mush. Just, Aw.
Yeah, not gonna lie. When I read this article and I read that description, I got a little glassy-eyed. Because I'm like, that's her, man. That's her.
It's just so beautiful to think that that's his tribute that he's made to his sister, and I hope they can pull it off. I hope they can find somebody, and I hope the writing will carry that.
Yeah. All right.
So, anyway, that's interesting. And then last news of the week is Watchmen.
Watchmen music.
And it's big news.
Okay.
And that is Watchmen is getting a full season order at HBO.
Yay!
Yay! To me, this actually felt kind of obvious because they have announced a cast of characters in the thousands at this point. Every actor is joining Watchmen, basically, if they're not already otherwise engaged on any other show. So had they not announced this, I would have been shocked at the rate that they had been, releasing names and things. But yeah, great. Full season order for Watchmen.
Cool.
Very exciting. And I feel like I saw some chatter about this on Twitter that indicated that maybe there were some folks who hadn't really been as attuned to the stories as we had been. Like HBO gave a big splashy announcement about Watchmen coming to HBO. And I think maybe it landed on people's radars in a way that earlier announcements hadn't. So it looks like people are getting excited for this.
Cool. Yeah. I wanted to get it here to be a thing, so it could be like Leftovers, where everyone hated the first season, so I didn't watch it, and then the second season happens, and then everyone just falls in love with it and demands that I watch it.
Wait, have you watched it yet?
No, I haven't.
Damn it, Ed.
Sorry.
And it's not even that the first season it's bad. It's that the first half of the first season is a little bit of a downer, but by the time Nora attends that conference, you're going to be in love, and you're going to be just like hair triggered when you hear the music. You'll just start openly weeping. Like they used it in a Pandora commercial a year later, and I just stopped and was like, it was so beautiful. And then I ugly cried, and then I moved on. So, but that's not about Watchmen. That's about The Leftovers. But that relates because, of course, it's the same showrunner. In David Lindelof, I trust. So.
All right. And that was it for the news, right?
That was it for the news.
Okay. So now it's on to our retro pick. Here we go. Batman, the animated series. Episode aired October 29th, 1992. The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne. After Judge Maria Vargas got caught up in a blackmail scheme, Bruce Wayne decided to retrace her steps and take a vacation to Yucca Springs Resort. Dr. Hugo Strange used his machines to extract Bruce's secret and planned to auction off Batman's identity to the Joker, the Penguin, or Two-Face. Last-minute reveal: after convincing Strange he had been bamboozled, Dick Grayson removed his Bruce mask and complained about having to wear leg extension braces.
Oh, poor short jokes for poor Dick. Okay, so Ed, this episode will forever, in my mind, be remembered as the one where we got a really good look at Batman's underwear. Like, Alfred really unfurled those bad boys in a way that I found uncomfortable.
I don't even remember.
Oh, it was front and center. And I actually was like, oh, is this a metaphor for airing your dirty laundry? Is this no, that's just Batman's underwear. That's just his banties. So
Yep.
Anyway. So I super enjoyed the all-star crime team up.
Okay.
It felt like, and I hate to make this comparison, but it kind of felt like Gotham in a way, because in Gotham you do see these big bads interact quite a bit, and we haven't seen it really in the episodes of the animated series that we've watched. So I really enjoyed watching those dudes all be maniacal lunatics together.
Yeah, and this is the first appearance in the animated series of Dr. Hugo Strange. How do you think he compares to BD Wong in Gotham?
Honestly, it was kind of like the same dude. I mean, that really was a pretty close corollary, I thought, with the look, and the BD Wong was a little more restrained, but that's always going to be the case, I think. Well, Gotham is pretty out there. But yeah, really similar vibes, similar look, similar all of it.
Yeah. And just I'm looking through here, new voices for this episode. Dr. Hugo Strange was voiced by Ray Buktanika, who seems there's a lot of voiceover. The only real thing outside of animation I could find was that he'd been like a recurring character on Rhoda for a while, in the 70s. Carmen Zapata voiced Judge Vargas, and she was in the Sister Act movies as one of the chorus nuns, and the Penguin. This is the first time that we've heard the voice of the Penguin in this series, and he's voiced by the great Paul Williams, who is a musician. Primarily wrote some songs you might have heard of, like the Rainbow Connection. Yeah. But also does act from time to time. He was Little Enos in the Smokey and the Bandit movies. He was Virgil in Battle for the Planet of the Apes, which is what I'll always remember him from. He was the Penguin for the entire run of the animated series. And if you watch season 2 of Goliath, which I just finished this week, he plays JT. He's a solid actor, and I love him as the Penguin.
I fell in love with the Penguin when he referred to Two-Face as my dichotomous friend. That was just good wordplay.
Yeah, it's interesting with the design, because like this was right around the time of Batman Returns, so they wanted him to look a little like Danny DeVito, and that's why he has like the webbed hands. But other than that one thing, it's like spot on. That's the Penguin from the comics, and that personality and that voice is perfect.
It was fun. I super enjoyed that. I will say, I think it's a credit to the smart writing on this show that when the judge has crawled out onto that beam of the bridge, I actually had a moment of, are they doing an occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge? Like, I really pondered whether they do some kind of sophisticated storytelling technique with that, because that's the level that this show is writing at sometimes. And then I was actually a little disappointed when they didn't. And also, I feel like a judge would have a henchman for that. Like, no judge I know is going to be crawling anywhere over a span like that. But yeah, that's I thought this show has raised my expectations so much that I was really genuinely thinking, are we going to play with narrative devices? Nah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's totally something that would happen in here, especially like when you think about last week's episode where most of it's a dream. But yeah. And I agree with you. I love the way the villains interact with each other. I like that it's almost like they're all friends, like they're just hanging out, and like at a certain point it's like, do we really want to fight each other? Like, this guy's gonna get his money anyway. Let's just pool our resources.
Yeah, I kind of like a good consortium of villains. So my question is, Number one, do rich people usually take their butlers with them to therapy rehab? And number two, did Bruce intentionally say, "I've got a bad feeling about this, Alfred," in a Mark Hamill episode?
I'm guessing that was a coincidence. If it had been a Harrison Ford episode, I would have said, yeah, definitely. But I think that...
Well, now you have me thinking there's a Harrison Ford episode out there somewhere.
Unfortunately, no. Sorry. But yeah, no, I think that was a coincidence. As far as Alfred hanging around, I mean, I think when he's not in the Batsuit, and even when he's in the Batsuit, he's lost without Alfred. You know?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's also kind of like he's like a foster father and like a best friend at the same time. So it's like, why wouldn't I want to bring Alfred to hang out with? Because he's really cool.
And what's he going to do while I'm gone? Just wander around that big empty mansion? I don't think so.
And like, he actually really enjoys folding my laundry. So I don't want to deprive him of that.
It brings him purpose.
Yeah.
It would be cruel not to take him. So I liked the bonkers technology here that Dr. Strange was using.
Yeah. Yeah, very kind of similar to Mad Hatter. You're going to see that type of stuff happen a couple times throughout the series. And but also I love the fact that even with all of this incredible technology, everything ends up recorded on a VHS tape.
Clearly labeled Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. It's all on video cassette. I mean, it was a little small. It looked like it was smaller. It might have been Betamax.
Fun fact, my high school was so strapped for cash that they had to choose between Betamax and VHS back in the day when that was a choice, and they went with Betamax. And they didn't have the money to upgrade when Betamax died. And so they had to struggle to find Betamax tapes or whatever they called them to play, to show us in the 90s, well into the 90s. That's the school district I grew up in.
Yeah, wow.
I assume they've upgraded to Laserdisc by now.
Well, actually, if you're short on all of those, our friend Uncle Jay over the Wicked Theory podcast has an incredible Betamax and Laserdisc collection. Every once in a while, he'll just come in with a random Betamax and just toss him like, "Hey, Ed, you'll like this." He just showed up and gave me a Betamax copy of Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. It was like, oh, this is great.
Is there an underground market to trade Betamaxes somewhere?
I don't know. I thought it was cool. It's a nice paperweight. And I brought it home and put it on the shelf with the other DVDs. And my mom looked at me like, "Why do you have this?"
Did you just say,
it's like it was a gift?
Uncle Jay. Just Uncle Jay. It's Chinatown.
It was a gift. So yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about with this episode?
I thought it was a fun Joker episode. I liked the look at his office, which is a feng shui nightmare. I liked him just like kicking back with popcorn. They're all fun. All the villains in this are fun, but I especially enjoyed the Joker being the head lunatic.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you think of the plane sequence? With Batman chasing down that plane as it's going.
Nothing gets between Batman and justice.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool when he's swinging around the mountains. Some of the physics of that, it's like, I don't know if that like really works. But like once he gets to the plane and on the plane, I thought that was great.
If it was an hour-long drama rather than a 30-minute cartoon, I feel like we would have gotten an explanation for the bat stabilizers that allowed him to, do the thing that he or not. I don't know. It's Batman.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was fun action. It was a level of action we don't always see in the cartoon.
Yeah.
The aerodynamic stuff. So yeah, and Robin saved the day. Dick Grayson saved the day in a way that actually genuinely surprised me. For a second, I was just like, "How are they? There's Batman and there's how is that?" Dick. It was Dick.
Yeah, and I think the GCPD is the coolest police department in the world because they use Zeppelins.
They don't care about the safety hazards. They don't care. It could immolate your whole family. They don't care. Get in the Zeppelin.
Yeah. How crazy would that be? You're out in the middle of nowhere and all of a sudden you think, I beat the cops, there's no way they can catch up to me now, and all of a sudden a Zeppelin comes up over the horizon.
It would be my honor to be arrested by somebody in a Zeppelin. Like that would go in my Twitter bio. Arrested by a cop in a Zeppelin. You think police on horses are cool? Give me Zeppelin cops.
Okay, really quick, because I jumped the gun and finished the episode before we could say the next title for our retro pick for next week. So I'm just going to insert this in real quick. Sarah, how you doing?
Good since the last 30 seconds.
Okay. So yeah, next week we're going to be watching, going back to, if you're watching on Amazon Prime, we're going back to Volume 1, and it's episode number 18, Beware the Gray Ghost.
Ooh. That sounds exciting.
Yeah. So we're going to beware the Gray Ghost. All right. And back to the show. All right. You ready for Winners of the Week?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll go first. And my winner for the week is Dr. Slotnick from Preacher. I don't know. I kind of fell in love with her character because she's so efficient and yet really, really scary. And I thought that whole thing and the explanation of the Tom Brady, I thought that was really cool.
All right, so my winner of the week is the underrated gem, The Wicker Man. Honestly, nothing about that movie has ever brought me more joy than the explanation of why we're going to use bees to kill this dude. Than, like the Wicker Man. And it tickled me so much that I was just like, yeah, no, this, I almost feel like I need to, if not watch the movie, at least rewatch that scene with Nicolas Cage on YouTube.
Oh, you're talking,
which is the only part of.
You're talking about the Nick Cage version and not the good one?
Of course I am. Of course.
Oh, come on. You got to watch the British one from the 70s. That's the Wicker Man.
Does it have Nicolas Cage punching a woman in a bear suit?
No.
Does it have Nicolas Cage using all of his Oscar-winning talents to scream the bees, not the bees, the bees, no, not the bees?
No.
Then I want no part of it.
All right.
So anyway, I thought it was great PR for the Wicker Man. Well done, Preacher.
All right. And that will be the DC TV report for this week.
Slightly delayed, but still piping hot.
Yeah. So I got to rush through editing. Hopefully we can get this up soon. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Edward O'Hare TBD.
And I'm at Sara Netzley, SaraNetzley.
Follow the show on Twitter at DCTV Report. Send along your emails to dctv@wickedtheory.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our show on your podcast app of choice and check out our sister shows, the Wicked Theory Podcast and Preacher vs. Preacher. This has been a Wicked Theory Studios production. Executive producer, Bill Sweeney. Visit us at wickedtheory.com. Shazam, everybody.
Shazam!
Shazam!